Principle of Agricultural Economics. Principles of agricultural economics showcases the power of economic principles to explain and predict issues and the current events in food, agriculture, agribusiness, international trade, and natural resources. Principles of agriculture economics has fundamental studying the production function, production cost, profit maximization, optimal input selection, optimal output selection, consumer supplies, and demand. Economic system and macroeconomics. Crash course economics. Macroeconomics means measuring the economy's activities as a whole. It is also how the economies are dealing with issues such as growth, inflation, and unemployment and policies that aims to correct. Macroeconomics is used to inform government policies which aims to achieve three main objectives. First, full employment of the nation's labor force or low employment. Stability in the level of prices for goods and services in nation or low inflation. And lastly, the continual increase in the output of goods and services in a nation or economic growth. Economic systems. An economic system is a means by which societies or governments organize and distribute available resources, services, and goods across a geographic region or country. Economic system regulate the factors of production, including land, capital, labor, and physical resources. An economic system encompasses many institutions, agencies, entities, decision-making processes, and patterns of consumption that comprise the economic structure of a given community. Diminishing returns and the production function. Diminishing return, also called law of diminishing returns or principles of diminishing marginal productivity, economic law stating that if one input in the production of commodity is increased while all other inputs are held fixed, a point will eventually be reached at which addition in input yield. The law of diminishing marginal return states that adding an additional factor of production results in smaller increases in outputs. After some optimal level of capacity utilization, the addition of any large amount of factors of production will eventually yield decreases per unit incremental return. Basic concept of economics. At the most basic level, economics attempts to explain how and why we make the purchasing choices we do. Four key economics concepts: scarcity, supply and demands, costs and benefits, and incentives can help explain many decisions that humans make. The basic concept of economics are needs, wants, and demands. Economics, we always need the basic concept for us to save money. Needs, demand, supply should be applied because having this concept may lessen the economic problem in our society. Needs should be applied. We only buy what we need, not we want. Calculating the elasticity of demand. The price elasticity of demand is calculated as the percentage change in quantity divided by the percentage change in price. We need to understand the concept of elasticity. Elasticity is an economic concept that measures the responsiveness of one variable to change in another variable. Both the demand and supply curve shows the relationship between price and quantity, and elasticity can improve our understanding of this relationship. The own price elasticity of demand is the percentage change quantity demanded of a good services divided by the percentage change to the price. This shows the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in price. Economics of scale and long-run cost. The economies of scale curve are a long-run average cost curve because it allows all factors and production to change. Long-run average total cost decline over a wide range of output. Economies of scale are cost advantages companies experience when production becomes efficient, as a cost can be spread over a large amount of goods. A business size is related to whether it can achieve an economy of scale. Large companies will have more cost saving and higher production levels. Elasticity of demand. The elasticity of demand or demand elasticity refers to how sensitive demand for a good is compared to changes in other economic factors, such as price or income. It is commonly referred to as a price elasticity of demand because the price of a good service is the most common economic factor used to measure it. In the current situation, we should always minimize the use of gasoline for us to save money. This is the universal issues that we are facing today. Because of the high demand of the gasoline and the country Russia cannot provide daily, there is a scarcity and the price was increases. Perfect competition short run. A market or an industry is said to be competitive depending on the key market players, that is, suppliers and consumers. The number of suppliers seeking the demands of consumers in the market determines the competition in the market. The other factors determine the competitiveness of a market is the barrier to entry and exit into the market in the long run. In the short run, the perfectly competitive firm will seek the quantity of outputs where profits are the highest or if profits are not possible, where losses are lowest. Short-run costs. The short-run cost comprises both the fixed costs that do not differ with the change in the degree of end result, the variable costs that differ with the changes in the level of degree of end results. Some factors remain constant or fixed due to the time restriction forced on an establishment. The cost of producing firms' outputs depends on how much labor and physical capital that firms uses. Marginal analysis and consumers. Marginal analysis is an examination of the additional benefits of an activity compared to the additional costs incurred by the same activity. Companies use marginal analysis as a decision-making tool to help them maximize their potential profits. Marginal analysis compares the additional benefits derived from an activity, the extra costs incurred by the same activity. It serves as a decision-making tool in projecting the maximum potential profits for the company by comparing the costs and benefits of the activity. Microeconomics, supply and demand. Supply refers to the amount of goods that are available. Demands refer to how many people want those goods. When supply of a product goes up, the price of a product goes down and demands for the product can rise because it costs less. When supply of a product goes up, the price of a product goes down and demand for the product can rise because it costs less. At some point, too much of the demand for a product will cause the supply to diminish. As a result, prices will rise. The product will then become too expensive. Demand will go down and the price on the product will fall. Supply and demand should reach an equilibrium. The amount of goods being supplied is the same as the amount demanded and the resources are allocated efficiently. International trade microeconomics. International trade is a substitute for resource mobility. Finally, it also affects domestic prices, the level of employment, and all domestic government policy actions. The importance of international trade can be measured by the volume of exported merchandise, which, in absolute and in relation to domestic output, has been growing, and by the degree of interdependence of world economies. International trades open new markets and exposes countries to goods and services unavailable in their domestic economies.